What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today, going over the NFL offseason as it's in its current state. A lot of free agency, a lot of trades happening. Free agency is about to open. We're going to talk about where those players could potentially end up. And we, of course, have to talk about Maxx Crosby getting traded, the potential for this Baltimore Ravens defense now in the post-Mike Macdonald era with now a premier pass rusher. But before we get into all of that, Matt and Theo, I am curious, of course, how you guys are doing, but I also have a question for you. So whichever you want to get into first.
Let's do the question.
All right. So my girlfriend and I are doing chores around the house today, cleaning and whatnot, and we tackle a project that we haven't done or that we've been putting off for a while, which is reversing the door on the dryer so that it opens away from you and towards the wall instead of opening like against your leg, and you have to like reach over and around it to put clothes in the dryer. Okay. And now we never have to do that chore again. Like that project is done forever. How many projects are there or even events in life that you never have to do again once they've been done? The easy one is like graduating high school, I think, or like getting your GED. Like once you've done that,
I think a lot of shit, honestly. Like
really?
More than you could possibly count. Yeah.
I couldn't think of
breaking down Maxx Crosby trade to the Ravens, probably the one time on the podcast, the one time. Maybe that's too specific.
Maybe. Like dishes, you're going to be doing dishes forever. Laundry, you're going to be doing laundry forever. But like,
yeah. How many one-off chores are there? Like truly? Well, what if?
In an apartment, there's not many. In an apartment, there's not many because like,
and even with the house, a lot of stuff you have to fix back up again, right?
Like even if you replace your roof or something, like you're gonna do that again.
Yeah.
So,
but you also might not. I mean, you don't know about this. What if you move and your dryer is positioned differently?
See, that was the kind of counter was like, oh, well, what if you move? What if the dryer breaks and you have to get a new dryer? But for that dryer,
sure, but then you're going to have more dryer related activities in your future, right?
Right. So I don't know.
I mean, if you feel like it's rare, then it's rare. Like you changed the orientation of your dryer door, and at the end you said, I never have to do this again. You've been doing chores all day. You know that every other chore you're doing, you're going to have to do again sometime. So like it doesn't happen often. I mean, even if you do yard work, even if you're digging out a section of your yard for a garden, or you're pouring mulch, or you're building your path from the front door to the sidewalk or something like that. I mean, once it's done, that's the end of a pretty big project. And there's not that many of those, definitely. But you just never know what you're going to have to do again. There's always going to be, once you put the mulch down, then it's like if you give a mouse a cookie, then you're going to want to put in an archway over the top, and then you're going to want to put vines on the arch, and then you're going to want to...
Well, that's why I'm saying, like reversing the dryer door is so unbelievably one-off in a way that nothing else is.
You might be right. This might be the only thing that you have to do once.
Or like a fridge door, like the same thing with a fridge. Like if you were ever to reverse the door on your fridge, like you probably would never have to do that again.
You never have to sweep again.
I'm probably never going to have to reverse the door on anything ever, honestly. I'm taking the under on half a reverse door on appliances.
Over under 1/2 reverse doors in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I couldn't think of anything else other than like graduating high school is like a possible one-off.
Graduating college.
Well, you could do that. You could do that twice. You could
graduate high school multiple times.
How?
Second identity. Come on, man.
Second identity is crazy. Matthew Sponhour goes back as Spathu Monhour, and
sure. Why are we flashing Theo bucks on camera?
Real money, by the way.
I don't think so.
This is mint.
Why do you have that? For those listening, Theo is showing a off-center $100 bill with his face like not framed well, but like a big oval in the center, but it's kind of off to the side.
Theo.
Why do you have that?
I was at a show yesterday and someone had a camera, and the camera's gimmick is that it could just print, is like a Polaroid that prints out your picture immediately after. But it wasn't just your picture. You could get printed out in funny situations, like in the middle of the $100 bill. And I know that we're about to talk about how we're doing, so I just grabbed it because it was on my desk and I started waving it around. So now I've gotten that portion of the podcast out of my way. I said something interesting that happened to me yesterday. And Matt, what happened to you? Any money?
No, I haven't gotten any money. I mean, I saw my parents. That was cool. We had some sushi. That was awesome.
Sweet.
They're moving soon, so I got to go get all my stuff out of their house. But I've already talked about that on here, so
That's true.
we don't need to get at it again.
Do you have any sushi take? Wait, do you have a sushi take? Anything? Any bombs to drop?
I don't have any sushi nukes. I mean,
what's
I think
favorite sushi meat or sushi fish?
I don't know. I got California rolls and then salmon rolls. Sorry, I'm not getting something crazy. I'm not crazy. Sorry.
I don't think there is anything that crazy.
No, because here's the thing. When you get California rolls, everybody has something to say to you. I mean, 100%.
I don't like California rolls, so.
Okay.
You don't like them, or you wouldn't order them? Like, you don't like their taste?
Yeah, I just think like of the sushi meats, I think crab is the worst.
This is just a made up opinion, by the way.
Bro has never had
It's a
sushi
made up
before.
opinion. I just think that crab is the worst meat to have in sushi. Then salmon after that. Those are the two worst ones.
That's insane.
They're just my least favorite. They're just my least favorite. Like I'm not saying that you at home can't order it, but this is how I feel.
Are you a squid guy or something?
Okay, so what's your favorite?
Yellowtail?
My favorite is, I do like yellowtail. My favorite is shrimp, and my second favorite is tuna.
I can't even taste the difference between any.
Yeah.
Bro, you're just fucking.
Are you a sashimi fan? Do you like sashimi?
I've never had sashimi. So.
Sashimi's good. Sashimi's tasty.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, but yeah, I've never had it. So
you should next time get some sashimi. It's pretty good. I don't know if they have like shrimp and they definitely have tuna. They definitely have to get some. If tuna is your favorite sushi meat, get some tuna sashimi, and then it's just basically tuna. So you're sure to love it.
I mean, tuna's great, man. Tuna's an elite.
I haven't had sushi in a long time. Sushi is great. Sushi is one of the.
What are your guys' thoughts on the topic of like raw fish?
Pause.
What's your guys' take on tartare? Either tuna tartare or steak tartare.
No idea what that is. Haven't heard of it.
Either of those.
It's like it's raw meat or fish.
I'm 100% certain you like it.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just know
No, because I see. First off, tuna in general, yucky. Tuna's yucky.
Awful.
We all agree on this.
Awful taste.
Second off, I'm just never gonna order something raw. I guess I'm gonna get it cooked. I'm gonna get it delicious.
I mean, you can get tuna cooked, but you get it cooked rare. You get it like seared, cooked rare.
I don't get it any of it. Get it away from me. I mean, tuna out of the can. I mean, that stinks. It stinks to high heaven. I don't know how anybody.
Tuna. I'm not eating like. I mean, you can have like a tuna noodle casserole. Like that's a thing. But like,
no, you've got a 10-foot top hat you're wearing around every day, huh? You can't eat.
I'm just saying, you go to the restaurant, you see a little tuna tartare, you're like, oh.
No, of course, I would never eat canned tuna. I have tuna tartare.
I mean, it just looks like sushi to me. I'm going through. It looks like just sushi.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
just
tuna tartare is
designed
very similar to sushi.
Instead of being in a roll, it's just like two.
Never had it. No idea how it tastes.
Steak tartare is like that, but beef.
It's probably fire. I mean, it looks pretty good.
It is fire.
The steak tartare is a little bit looking a little weird, but the sushi tartare is looking good.
Especially like a little caviar, it can be fire, man.
I just get it medium rare. I'm just a normal guy. Don't try to.
Hey, at least you get your steaks medium rare. At least you get your steaks medium rare.
And I'll tell you what, if someone is sitting next to me and they say, "Give it to me well done," I don't care at all.
I'm making them feel bad.
I think Cammy will always order her steaks as well done as possible, and she doesn't like to see any red at all, which is, I guess, fine. But I just wish, I'm like, it's not going to make you sick. Like it's not raw. Like it's not actually that bad. You can do it. It's fine.
Sophia orders steaks well done too, but she does it because she grew up on a beef farm, and so she's like seen. Like she wasn't allowed to.
Sophia had a crazy exemption. If I'm
I'm just saying, like she wasn't allowed to name the cows as a kid because she would get attached.
I mean, what's the difference between rare and medium well if you're attached to the cow and they kill it and they eat it? Like it seems like
honestly
kind of a drop in the bucket if I'm being real. But like girlfriends, they love to order shit fucking well done, and it's fine. But I'm just
her belt, it's okay.
It's okay. I'm just telling you, you're gonna be like, it's not gonna make you sick. A little bit of red is okay. You're gonna be fine, but it's fine that you think it's yucky. Anyway, Maxx Crosby
to the Ravens, dude. AFC North is so sick. It kicks so much ass. You got Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Maxx Crosby, and then you got a polar bear in Arlington, Texas of the Cincinnati
Miles
Bengals.
Murphy.
But
shout out.
Miles Murphy. Yeah, dude. But I mean, the Ravens absolutely had to do this. There were a couple of teams that you'll look at and you're like, Baltimore, Buffalo are kind of two of the top ones. I know Dallas was in the running for Crosby. They were putting in an offer as well. But Baltimore and Buffalo to me are the two where I'm like, if they added a really premier pass rusher, that could absolutely, I mean, obviously a really elite pass rusher changes any defense, but when you're talking about trying to elevate yourself from just a playoff team to a Super Bowl team, that can be the biggest difference maker.
Blaiden, your mic is popping a lot if you want to move it back or turn it back down a little bit.
Yeah.
Or maybe not talk about premier pass rushers in Baltimore.
Yeah, the P and B sounds, yeah.
No, it's all good. I do think this is really expensive for Crosby. And I agree with a lot of the points, like, okay, your pass rush was a disaster last year. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with that pass rush, right? I can tell you that right now. It's been an issue for Baltimore for a long time. If you're going to spend 2 first on a position outside of like quarterback, it's probably edge rusher. So like in a lot of ways it makes sense, but it's risky. I mean, Crosby has been super banged up the last couple of years and is going to turn 29 before the season starts. Edge rushers can age well, and I feel like guys who are these great athletes and are banged up can fall off super quickly. So it's hard to know exactly what you're going to get. At Crosby's best, he was truly elite tier 1 or tier 2, however you want to do that, pass rusher. And he could completely change this defense and really amplify a lot of the back end talent that they have. But it doesn't come without risk at a 2 first round price point for sure.
Yeah, I just don't know if I think it's pretty good value. I just don't see them finding. I mean, maybe they do find a player as good as Maxx Crosby over the next 2 years in the first round, but
I mean, I'm excited.
They've struggled to do it recently.
I mean, I'm excited about Jordan Tyson and Lemon and Tate and guys like that. And all of them could be there at number 14. You know what I mean? Like 14 is a premier pick in this draft. There's been Hall of Famers taken at that spot. Darrelle Revis was taken at that spot. Like when you add that with another first round pick that the Raiders will be getting next year, combined with the fact that that Maxx Crosby's 29 and pass rushers, I think you can count on them until they're probably about 33, and then things start to get in a real danger zone. Think about, like, I don't know, very, very coarse-grained statistic here, but like PFR's AV, approximate value stat, who's going to accumulate more in this trade? Crosby over the next however many years, or 2 first-round picks over the next however many years. If you ran the projections, I'm sure it's pretty even. I'm sure it's pretty even. Like the track that Crosby is on and the amount that the 14th overall pick usually gets and 30th overall pick usually gets if they're third in Super Bowl odds. Let's give them that. I think it's a very even trade. Like 2 first-round picks for the Raiders. It is nice. It's a nice get back, but I'm with you too, Blaiden, of like, yeah, that you're probably not gonna draft Maxx Crosby specifically with that 14th overall pick. There's a large range of outcomes, and that would be the tippy top.
But they do also need a receiver, right?
Yeah.
So, you would maybe like to get a Lemon or a Tyson or a Tate if they fall to you there.
I think that's interesting. I mean, if you make the assumption when you're looking at your draft picks that you're like you can't draft well or you can't draft above replacement, then it would be like it would make sense to always trade them all the time. But to win a Super Bowl, like the way it's done is first and foremost you're drafting well. I don't necessarily disagree that like Crosby has super high upside, of course, and I think Crosby's a great player, but he has not been like where you would want the last couple of years because he's been banged up, I think. And it's like we give him grace for that, and he's dealing with the knee and he's dealing with the ankle and all that type of stuff. But I think it does mean that when you bring him in, it comes with some risks. I don't think there's any question about that. That's what I'm worried about. If you told me that you're getting 2023 Maxx Crosby, then it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. Like, right, the Raiders are moving in one direction. Maybe they could have stuck by Crosby and said, we think he'll age well, and it's hard to find these guys, and we think we can rebuild fast. I think that's a viable in the NFL way to look at things, especially when you feel like you already have a shot at a quarterback or whatnot. But, this still puts them in a good direction. I just think that with Baltimore, there is some risk with Crosby. Maybe it's like you felt like you had to take that, but it'll be interesting to see how much Jonathan Grenard goes for.
Yeah. If he goes for a second,
If he goes for a second, I think I would have rather done the second. And it's not that I don't think that Crosby has the high upside. It's just, this is the bet now. This is everything, right? Crosby has to be healthy and back and age well, like edge rushers absolutely can. Or else, it would be hard if you whiffed on this, if you got anything other than like a top 25 percentile outcome from this to win the Super Bowl. That's what I'll say. I like taking the risk. I like addressing edge. Well, I don't know if I like being aggressive, but I do think it's a really big risk, much more so than like.
Micah was 24, right?
Yeah, but here's the issue. I don't want to compare this trade to the Micah trade because the thought around the Micah trade when it happened was, this is crazy. This was a crazy move for the Cowboys to make. It was crazy to trade him for 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark. So if you comp like every future edge, trade to that going forward, it's not as good as that. Right. If the Ravens could have traded 2 firsts and I don't know, maybe they did have that on the table. If they were sitting here right now and they could have given up those 2 firsts for Micah Parsons, I'm sure that they would have done that. But it's not realistic, and it's not fair to compare trades on whether or not they're good value to trades in the past that we think were like exceedingly great value for the team that brought in the player. So I like the upside. Obviously they need pass rush, but there is a little bit of risk here, more so than just it being expensive.
We're kind of living in the Frank Clark era, was kind of my thought in the aftermath of this. Like Frank Clark got traded from Seattle to Kansas City after 2018 for, I think, the 29th overall pick in the draft, and then an immediate extension. And Clark never had double-digit sacks for Kansas City in the regular season. He never was anything more than a Pro Bowler. Good player. But in the playoffs, he gave them just enough juice to like win multiple Super Bowls, like starting in 2019 as soon as he showed up. And he's 4th all time in playoff sacks. He just pushed their pass rush just over the top enough to where the talent of Lamar Jackson and Kelsey and all the other guys like actually mattered because they just had the juice to get home. They had those clutch sacks. They had those moments. So even though from an analytics perspective, like a first and all that money for Frank Clark, he really didn't live up to that in a lot of ways. Like 4 years where he got, I don't know, 6 sacks a season. Probably a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, it's not disappointing at all because you won the Super Bowl. And we've seen a lot of that, I think, in the last couple of years where the Rams give up 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey. They give up 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. They win a Super Bowl. It was Orlando Brown for the Chiefs also that cost a first-round pick. And again, wasn't insane value or anything, but they had the quarterback in place. They needed more protection. It gave them enough. And at the end of the day, the championship wins out. Big Cat, DeMarcus Lawrence, not DeMarcus Lawrence, Big Cat, holy cow, Williams from the Giants over to Seattle, cost a 2nd-round pick. And he was really highly paid in comparison to where his win rates were. Super, super expensive, but they win the Super Bowl. You just see it. AJ Brown cost a first, although he was kind of a steal, like the Micah trade. What are you doing, Tennessee? He's super young, crazy, great analytically, and he cost 1 first-round pick. So that might be a little bit different. But at the end of it, my point is the last several Super Bowl champions, or many of the last several Super Bowl champions, moved a first-round pick or did something that may have been a little bit inefficient for a great player. And at the end of the day, it's what they needed to push the roster a little bit over the top. And I do think that Maxx Crosby can be that for Baltimore. But I mentioned Darrelle Revis. How about Kyle Hamilton? He was the 14th overall pick. That's a much more recent example of what that pick can be.
And I think the 14th overall in this draft is around the range where I think you could get somebody really good. If you like the receivers, you like the corners, and you're kind of open-minded, I would assume the Raiders are, about what positions that you can take. I think obviously you would like a tackle or a receiver, somebody who can help Mendoza out right away. But I think there's going to be a pretty solid prospect there. It's before my tier break, I should say, or it's honestly right around it, sure. Unless the draft falls super bad. So I like it for them, and I agree. You see a lot of teams devalue first-round draft picks. It's not even with the trades that work. It's just a lot of good front offices or big-time competitive franchises are constantly moving off of the ones when they get the opportunity to, like the Rams. I mean, the 49ers did, but it didn't really necessarily work out. In one of their get off a bunch of first-rounder moves. So, yeah, I think the Ravens saying, hey, we got to be serious about this Lamar Jackson timeline because our window is right now, right these next couple of seasons. And if we don't get one and all of a sudden Lamar starts declining or whatever, we're going to be kicking ourselves. And it's going to be, he'll be one of the best quarterbacks to never get one, right? He could easily go down as that type of guy. I mean, there's a handful of guys right now who are really at risk of that. So I can get on board with the aggression, but I still think there's some risk with the guy who's been banged up the last couple of years and is a little older.
Yeah, I like the aggression too. I think you can look at it through a certain lens and almost say that this Crosby trade's a terrible use of research. You can go in that direction, but I think that this is an inefficient time of year, trading picks for guys who have something wrong with them, or giving huge contracts to guys who other teams deemed not worth
wanted by another
right?
team. Yeah.
It's an inefficient time of year, but it's also when Super Bowls are won, is getting the maximum amount of talent that you can at this time of year, whether it's Saquon Barkley or whoever. I was a Packer fan for many years when they did absolutely nothing this time of year, and it was just about drafting and developing and making your picks and that being enough, right? And they did get a ring because Rodgers fell in their lap, right? But then throughout the Aaron Rodgers era, I always wished that they did a little bit more in free agency instead of constantly sitting on their hands and being afraid to make the big mistake. And, when teams like the Broncos were nabbing Aqib Talib, or teams like, I don't know, anybody was grabbing everybody. Every Super Bowl team has a couple crucial free agents that they brought in. And you don't want to be the team that just sits on the sideline and misses out on every single move, because it always gets a little bit too expensive, and it gets a little bit in an uncomfortable territory, and you don't win the deal far and away because you can't, because the other team's not stupid. The Buccaneers, like the last couple of years, maybe are been just, keeping the roster together, sticking and picking, and we're first round exits every year, they're never in the rumors for Maxx Crosby. They're never in the rumors for Micah Parsons. They just exist to draft and develop. And I don't know. I think I like the swing. I think Crosby, as much as he's declined the last couple of years and isn't where he was for that 3-year stretch from 2021 to 2023, he did get 28 tackles for loss last year, which was the highest of his career. And he's still someone who plays over 94%, I think, of the defensive snaps. He's still got a crazy first step.
He led the league last year in run stop win rate, according to ESPN.
Yeah, he's still somebody who funnels a lot of his power through a very small point of contact with the opponent's chest. He can bull rush you. He can anchor down versus the run. He reads the mesh point and tracks things down from the backside like nobody else. He does Cirque du Soleil shit on third down. Counters inside, spins outside, stunts. He's unbelievable. Taking the tackle with him and freeing stuff up for other people, squeezing his huge frame through tiny gaps and popping out and triple extension, both hands up, raking down through the tackle, spiking strip sacks. He's a legendary player still. And even at age 29, I think they could get 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe really, really good years out of him. But yeah, it is very expensive. And the 14th overall pick, like I said, a lot of success. Chris Lindstrom, Tyler Warren, Kyle Hamilton, just in the last couple of years. Revis, guys like Thomas Davis.
Shout out
Thomas Davis.
But also guys like Broderick Jones and Javon Kinlaw, and Marcus Davenport and Derek Barnett and Devontae Parker, and guys you're very okay with parting with. So who knows? It's a good opportunity for the Raiders, but sucks that it came to this. And man, who's their best defensive player now?
If you think that you can turn it around quickly, I don't want to be the one to stand and say it can't be done. We know that it can. We just watched the Patriots turn it around quickly. We know that it can, even if you're coming from a far place,
Sure.
Especially if you have a bunch of money like the Raiders do, right?
Right.
But when people say oh, now that you've traded Crosby, your defense is horrible and has nobody who you feel is a long-term piece, that doesn't make me feel worse about the Crosby trade. It makes me feel okay, right, I understand wanting to get to ground zero.
Yeah, it's so bad. Their best player is probably Adam Butler, who's kind of a elastic, springy defensive tackle who can eat doubles and penetrate a little bit. I'd probably say him.
Those guys were away.
But Adam Butler being your absolute peak defensive player, not great.
Yeah, it's
JJ Pegues coming for that title soon.
Is it Pegues? I thought it was Pegues.
No, I think it's Pegues.
Pegues. Okay.
Polomao's not that bad either. Shout out. But
it's not the only trade that happened. It did end up being the biggest one. But before that, the biggest one was probably DJ Moore getting moved to the Buffalo Bills, which I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about on the last episode, because that happened on the 5th. And they gave up DJ Moore and a 5th round pick for a 2nd round pick. Chicago did.
Yeah. Great job by the Bears getting the second.
Yes.
is my main thought. You see these trades happen where a guy who is on the outs with a franchise and on a contract gets traded for wow, you can't believe you went for a 3rd or a 4th, and you got to say, well, it's because he's declining and he's on this contract, and you got to think about it, what this will be worth in the last year, not just right now. And the Bears just seem to bypass all of that and get the Bills thinking about just right here, right now. We need a receiver. We'd like to take DJ Moore in the second round if we could, with no thought about like the rookie contract or any of it.
It's truly insane. I can't believe it. To me, it feels like a panic button move by them, considering how many receivers are going to be available in free agency, how many receivers there are in this draft that you can take. And obviously, you're like, well, we haven't taken guys highly in the draft before that have panned out. Like, you don't see Keon Coleman as some massive win, but like, is DJ Moore like a serious upgrade, if at all? Like, he's a couple of years removed from his best season as a pro, but last year he had his worst year in yards per route run. He just had like an awful play to kind of end the season, notably coming up short on that route that ended up being an interception. Maybe he wouldn't have caught it, but like, it might not have been a pick. He could have put a little defense there. So yeah, it's like leaving that bad taste in Bears fans' mouth and then going to Buffalo. It's like, how much of an upgrade is this really? Here's my question. Do you feel like he's immediately the best receiver on this Bills team?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's probably got the edge on Shakir because Shakir's average depth of target is like 2 yards, and he's kind of a one-trick pony in that way. It's a really good trick, and he was crucial over the course of the playoffs. But perhaps DJ Moore, he did hit the big post against the Packers to win that game, and still has some vertical speed and physicality. So yeah, I think that's definitely something the Bills have been missing. But is that something you can get in the second round with like Antonio Williams? I think the wide receiver or Boston or something like that.
DJ Moore, Panthers legend. I think he is the most talented receiver on the team. I think like where their weapons got to in chunks of the season last year was a disaster, and having a guy like DJ Moore could be a really big upgrade for that. Plus, this is, Joe Brady's guy, right? Back from the Carolina days. So there's a number of positives. But he's 29. You're taking on a bunch of his money. Like, you're taking on just the full contract straight up. So you're paying him big time. And yeah, his production the last couple of years has not been that great. It's dipped, right? So you see a guy who's getting older, who is heading in the wrong direction, and you give up like really, really premium assets to make that move, and you don't get a bunch of cap savings from it. I don't think it's a fantastic move for Buffalo. I think that we could get, as you were saying, Theo, you can kind of overpay a little bit, and ultimately, like, come playoff time, if you're in the hunt and you got the talent on your teams, maybe you're happy about it. I don't think it's like necessarily a total disaster, but there's some pretty big red flags about this. And it just feels like the Bills are a team that has Josh Allen, but has not done a great job building the last couple of years, and is now kind of behind the 8 ball. And they're really expensive, and they've got to find some wins against the salary cap. You know what I mean? They got to find some surplus value somewhere. Like, how are we going to get to that next level? Trading a second round pick for DJ Moore is not finding that surplus value to me. It's addressing a need, but I agree, Blaiden, like, feels a little panicky.
I mean,
it feels like they just didn't want to leave it up to a draft pick, which fair enough. But could you have gotten somebody for cheaper? How much does Alec Pierce cost?
Exactly. Like, we talked about this on the last episode, right? I mean, if Alec Pierce goes for $27 million, I'd rather have Alec Pierce and keep my second round pick, like,
yeah, or fork over the first for someone maybe on a different level than DJ Moore, right?
AJ Brown,
someone who doesn't have a history of quitting in a big playoff moment or sitting on the bench while the play is still going on. So maybe someone who's a bit more locked in as a blocker. I don't know, someone just a more premium player who doesn't get ran out of town by the Luther Burdens and Rome Odunzes and Walkers of the world, like AJ Brown. I don't know. Could a first round pick get that deal done if he's really unhappy in Philadelphia. I guess I don't know, but yeah, I agree. I think the second round pick, it's great for the Bears to get it. Maybe for the Bills, it can work out in the same way the Frank Clark thing worked out, but I don't really know. It's also different than the Crosby trade in that, look, the Ravens pass rush is terrible, right? Like it's cost them games. When you watch any Ravens game, you're like, wow,
pass rush win rate last year. Like, yeah,
they can't.
Their biggest issue
For sure. Like you watch any Ravens game and you're like, yeah, they just can't get after the quarterback and they're going to probably lose because of it, or it's going to be a shootout because of it. It's fourth quarter against the Bills. They're getting 5 people out into the route and just protecting with Dawkins and Spencer with no chip help, and they're absolutely shutting everybody down. And you end up losing that game, right? Crosby can help you there.
Yeah.
And to some extent, that's true in certain moments for the Bills. Certainly the play where McMillan rips the ball away from Cooks, or the play a couple plays before that where Cooks doesn't play the sideline well. And maybe they could have won that Denver game and gone on to beat the Patriots to the Super Bowl and given the Seahawks a better fight. I don't know. But, I mean, there is some truth to what Bean said last offseason of like, look, this is the most highly scoring offense almost ever, right? Like this is a historic unit that we've got. Certainly the best in the league right now. And perhaps we don't need to pay a wide receiver a premium. I mean, that was their philosophy as recently as last year. They projected that out into the world of like, look, we got Josh Allen and we don't need to get desperate to pick wide receiver. The fans need to pipe down about spending all of our resources at that specific position. Because, yeah, they also have the worst run defense in the league and a league average defense overall, right? And their interior offensive linemen are leaving and all those things. So, like, maybe this is the time to say, hey.
They got McGovern back.
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm. 4 years, 52 million.
There we go. Okay, well. Sign DJ Moore.
Not to undercut your point, because I completely agree, but they did get
okay.
back.
Well, there you go.
And I think the big stat about this, Buffalo Bills have, what was it now, like the second most expensive receiver room in the NFL?
Whoa.
Yep.
And that's totally insane.
Yep. Who else are they paying?
It's like if
Shakir, I know, is on a second contract. I guess everybody else is just getting it done with rookies. DJ Moore.
Maybe it's including pass catchers and therefore like Dawson Knox.
I mean, they don't have young talent, that's for sure. Like they have to pay, a Brandon Cooks or a Mecole Hardman.
Josh Palmer's making 12.
That will do it.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's inefficient. It's inefficient. Maybe at the end of the day, he catches the big bomb that Cooks dropped and you love it. But I don't think he can make the impact that Maxx Crosby can have at his peak. I mean, Crosby can have a 15 sack, 30 tackle for loss, or that's a little high. 15 sack, 25 tackle for loss season, and no one would be especially surprised. I think if DJ Moore was an all-pro wide receiver next year, we'd all be a little bit surprised. And I guess it's 2 first-round picks versus a second, but I don't know. I just think they probably could have solved their problems in a lower cost way than the Ravens did here. I don't think the Ravens could have generated a pass rush without. Maybe we'll see with Grenard. That's a good point, Matt, but. Yeah, I don't love it. Yeah. It's good for the Bears, though. Although I thought that pick was going to go to Crosby, and it didn't. So I was like, I don't care who they spend that second rounder on, really.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about, who the Bears could end up going after in free agency, because you're right, they need pass rush as well. But before we move on, got to, of course, talk about some mental health. One thing that's gotten better over the last few years is people being more open about therapy, especially for guys. There used to be this idea that you just deal with your stuff on your own, but honestly, therapy is just another tool. And if something's off mentally, it makes sense to talk to someone the way you would if something was off physically. And one thing that always stops people is how hard it is to actually get started. You hear about long wait lists or trying to figure out the insurance, and it's confusing. And a lot of people just never take that first step. That's why Rula is really interesting. RULA. Rula is a healthcare company that makes therapy easier to access. They connect you with licensed therapists and mental health professionals who fit what you actually need, and they work with most major insurance plans, so sessions can be really affordable. A lot of patients pay around $15 per session using insurance, which is honestly less than a lot of everyday expenses. They've got thousands of licensed professionals nationwide, and you can get matched with someone who actually fits you instead of guessing and hoping it works out. And then you can often get started quickly, sometimes as soon as the next day. So if therapy is something you've thought about but keep putting off, this can be a simple way to get started. Thousands of guys have already started using Rula to get the care they need. Don't keep pushing it off. Go to rula.com/stayhot and get started today. Again, that is RULA.com/stayhot. Take the first step, get connected, and take control of your mental health. And, while you're taking care of your mental health, we can keep going and talk about our other sponsor, Quince, which I've read all the comments, as well as Blue Wire, our sales production team, sent an email that I was pronouncing it wrong. So I understand that it's not the Spanish word for 15. It is Quince. If you're trying to keep up with your wardrobe and trying to keep it simple, this is the place to go. Just solid pieces that work together and hold up over time. That's what Quince does best. Premium materials, thoughtful design, and everyday staples that are easy to wear year round. Quince has a ton of essentials I like, things like organic cotton sweaters, polos you can wear anywhere, and lighter jackets for when the weather changes. It's just reliable stuff that looks good without overthinking it. And what's great is they work directly with top factories and cut out middlemen. So you're getting quality clothing without paying big brand markups, and everything is, of course, built to last and look great season after season. Honestly, it's, just so much cheaper, so much more comfortable, looks good, and of course, it's just the perfect value. So you can refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/stayhot for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns, now available in Canada as well. That's QUINCE.com/stayhot. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/stayhot. Are there any other moves that we need to talk about before getting into kind of where we think different free agents could go? I don't think so.
There was like a Jordan Davis extension.
I saw that.
I love Jordan Davis. I'm down with a Jordan Davis extension.
It's pretty expensive, but yeah, well, the interesting part about that is how it affects everybody else, right? Because they're also trying to pay Jalen Phillips a whole big bunch of money.
Mm.
Yeah, and Jalen Carter might be on the trade block.
Right.
Which would be crazy.
I feel like I'd rather keep Carter than Davis, but
yeah. That's what's surprising about it, is that Carter would be the first player that I would want to keep on that defensive line, I think, kind of without question. Right? And the fact that they aren't committed to having him long term makes me question what's going on behind the scenes a little bit, or what their strategy is on the whole, right? Because, I mean, I don't know. If you lose Carter, it feels like, hey, you've kind of lost your really dominant pass rusher, and now you're going to be a team that's trying to get it done without somebody like that, which we know is hard to do, even if we like, the back seven of their defense a lot.
Yeah, Carter, trading him, I mean, getting a first in this class, you're not replacing him in this class at all. I mean, it's a lot of kind of back end of the first, second round, 3 techs. It's not even a lot of them. It's like Caleb Banks and Woods. So, like, what on earth would your plan be for your pass rush and those interior spots? I guess Ajamo is pretty good, but I mean, Jalen Carter is somebody who is one of the most dominant prospects that I've ever watched. Like him and Hamilton are, I think, that my favorite 2 ever in terms of pure, like, oh yeah, this guy's a god at the game. And then he comes in and is the signature piece of a Super Bowl winning defense. I mean, what else is there to do but extend him? But I guess that's, behind the scenes, you question what's going on. And they got him at the discount, that 9th overall pick, right, when he was the best player in the class.
Right.
And these are the kinds of things that you can't really run from, I guess, is like, yeah, he gets ejected. Like, yeah, who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he would be the highest paid defensive tackle ever, probably. But the Eagles know as well as anyone, you just pay your good players and move on.
Yeah.
So the fact that the Eagles are sitting on their hands here does make me think that there is something more to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they feel pretty like they just feel like they don't mess this kind of stuff up without any sort of reason.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's certainly a reason. I mean, if it was, I don't know, who's a good ethical end. If it was Derek Brown, I have no doubts that they would extend him. He seems like a
Facts.
He never was in a deadly car accident and fled the scene or done anything crazy. So yeah, I'm sure the Eagles are a smart organization. So whatever is going on, I'm sure it's real. The Cowboys put a second round tender on Brandon Aubrey. So if another team,
is someone gonna give that up? Really?
I'm looking at Green Bay.
Second.
We have 1 second round pick and no first. But if we had a kicker, we would definitely advance to the second round and get waxed by the Rams, most likely. But damn, I'm looking. Are they baiting us? Are they rage baiting us with this? Are they trying to get our second round pick too?
They're trying to get you again, dude.
That's been my that was my view on the second round tender, is that they're rage baiting the Packers. The Packers, they made a couple of transactions. They restructured Aaron Banks to keep him long term and free up salary cap space now, which I think a lot of people weren't expecting because he had a disappointing year. And so kind of the deal was, well, just pay him a lot now and move on. Instead, they're kind of buying into him long term to free up cap space now. And then they extended Sean Ryan, their other interior lineman. And so they're kind of taking an offensive line that was a bit disappointing last year and committing to it, basically, which I don't hate, actually, even though they were disappointing. Like, I'm okay with like letting the mid wash over me at guard or center or whatever, and not having to find that in a draft and a free agency, like where we just don't have a ton of other resources. Like, I think we can be a good offense with Aaron Banks and Sean Ryan at the two guard spots. So like, I'm not expecting anything crazy, but they've played better before, and I think that they've been better run blockers than they were last year. So like, I kind of understand keeping them around and hoping they can maybe return to some older form with more continuity and a healthier year from Zach Tom, instead of like completely starting from scratch. They might move on from Jenkins to save even more money, and then go Banks, Ryan at center, and then Belton, their pick at the other guard spot. And that wouldn't be with Tom, and then a kind of maybe Morgan at left tackle. We'll see. It's not great, but like, if it clears up some cap space for somebody else, I'm willing to roll with it, because it's not the worst offensive line I've ever seen.
Dealing with problems structuring their offensive line right now. It feels like everyone needs a center.
Yeah.
Especially in the NFC North, dude. Like,
yes, absolutely. Tyler Linderbaum is going to get paid $1 billion. Like,
and he deserves it, dude. Like, give it to him.
For the Packers to just be out of that sweepstakes, and Ryan can play center, and I assume that's their plan with him. So for them to be basically the only team in the NFC North with a center right now, because Glasgow, Dahlman, and I guess Bradbury got traded too, which is like fine, whatever. He's a good first step reacher in a wide zone scheme. Like, cool, fine, I get it. But I don't know. It was fine. And trading Woolen for Franklin, like, I assume that just means like Dalvin Tomlinson is on the way, basically. It's kind of my take on that.
I mean, Woolen was part of the problem.
He was
last year.
Franklin, is Franklin part of the solution? I don't know, but Woolen was part of the problem, and
so no harm,
no foul, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these free. I mean, do you want to start with Linderbaum?
Sure. Yeah. Where do we think he's going to sign? Doing a little bit of a free agent mock draft. Yeah, Blaiden, is there anywhere that you kind of have in mind as a fit for Linderbaum specifically?
I mean, you know where I would want him to go.
Sure.
I mean, dude, here's the thing. I keep coming back to like the Ravens should just bring him back. Like, I don't know if they will, but I mean, they still could. But that's kind of where my head keeps coming back to, is I'm like, dude, and we've talked about this before. If they lose Linderbaum, they're losing arguably the second best player on their offense and like a top 3, maybe top 4 now player on the entire team, right? I just can't imagine that after making this Crosby move, like maybe they were holding off so that they could do this and then they can figure it out. But like I think most ideal scenario is that the Ravens just bring back Linderbaum, honestly.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal, but why wouldn't they have just extended him like at this point if they really wanted him back, or picked up his fifth-year option, or tagged him? Like, I understand that they want to save money, right? Like they don't think it's efficient to pay a center $23 million a year if Creed Humphrey is making 18. That's their logic, right? And and it seems like they've let it get to that point because they just think it's too much for Linderbaum, because they could have controlled his rights for a little bit longer, but they just don't want to stomach the cap hit for those single year things. But like you mentioned, there could be such a bidding war for a center right now that it seems like Linderbaum is going to cost that much anyway. So maybe they didn't foresee Linderbaum having this type of market with Kelly retiring and all that. But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it makes the most sense to bring him back, but they've
like
kind of,
you can restructure Lamar,
which they have done. They've already done that.
Okay, you restructured Lamar, and then you bring back Linderbaum. Like to me that's a no brainer. I can't imagine. Like there's obviously other places he could go. Like maybe Detroit. They obviously need a center, but I think I could see them drafting one as well, just because they're a little bit lower on the cap tier. But maybe they restructure Goff. Like there's ways around that as well. But to me, Baltimore is just like, I think you need to find a way to bring him back. I just don't think you can let that slide at all.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake that they've let it get this far. As good as Crosby is,
right?
I just going in with really bad trenches.
It feels so regressive. Like you're gonna pay 2 first-round picks and pay Maxx Crosby, but you're gonna like Maxx Crosby, great, and like positional value, edge is more valuable than center, right? But why not just bring in the guy? Just like get him back in here and get it done, right? You're obviously going all in for a Super Bowl right now. You need all of your guys to do that. And I can't imagine losing, again, a top 3 player on the team to try and get that done. So
how much cap space does
how much cap
they're at?
The Lions are at 5 right now, but they could restructure Goff and save like 30 or something.
I wonder if they would make a big bid for Linderbaum. I mean, literally center killed them so much last year. Like Flores just cross dog blitzing killed them two games in a row against the Vikings. Like they had zero answer for that. So I could totally see them being like, oh, Linderbaum's available. Like, let's just do that. And he fits their zone scheme like perfectly. Him and Gibbs and Sewell would be super powerful. Like that's where my head immediately goes, is like, man, the lack of a good center actually killed the Lions whole season last year. Like they would have, if they could have beaten Max Brosmer, they probably would have made the playoffs with still a top 5 DVOA offense overall and a top 5 EPA offense, I think, overall. Maybe it's a little bit lower by EPA. But man, they just didn't have somebody who could identify stunts at all. So they lost, and Linderbaum would stabilize that position and actually make it a huge plus again. And
if they restructure Goff, they will have $48 million in cap space.
Yeah, do it.
So yeah, get it. Like that makes sense. That makes sense. And like if the Lions can get that done, go for it. But Baltimore, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Matt, where would you be sending Linderbaum here?
I'm not 100% sure. This isn't how I prepared for this segment.
Yeah, we kind of just had just pick a location and a guy and tell us your dream. Play some matchmaker, your dream matchup.
Okay.
I'd like to see Kenneth Walker to Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite fits. You know, they've been attached to rumors of sort of these higher profile running backs, whether it be like the Von Achan trade or drafting Love at 9th or stuff like that. And for good reason. I feel like, you know, the running back game has been an issue for them for some time now. And it's just like, where is the true rushing talent? Bringing in a guy like Kenneth Walker could really solve that for them. Now, Walker, even off of a Super Bowl MVP, I still think, you know, has a tendency to be a little bit too east-west or whatnot. But overall, like, the good far outweighs the bad. And you could change, you know, your ability to hit explosives and to be a threat running the ball for what, 12, 14 million bucks. You could have a completely different type of guy just as like a check down option for Mahomes for 12, 14 million bucks. When you look around the Kansas City offense, like where are the weapons that really threaten you? I feel like that's one of the questions where it's like Rice and Worthy and Kelsey's getting older. It's like you need somebody who I think really is, you know, a playmaking difference maker in that regard. Like somebody you really got to key in on. Walker might be the cheapest guy because he's a running back, but Walker might be the cheapest guy that you can get. And they've got a little bit of, you know, walking around money now without a McDuffie extension looming. So to me, that's what I'd like.
I'm honestly surprised Seattle isn't bringing Ken Walker back too.
Yeah.
But
me too.
I'm a bit surprised as well, but I mean, over the course of the year, they just didn't value him like they did in the playoffs, right? Like he was kind of a change up guy, and then he goes crazy for the playoffs and blows up his market. Why would they? I can see their logic, but going to the Chiefs would be electric. I mean, the Chiefs were not even a bad run game last year. They were 8th in EPA per play before Mahomes got hurt. They just had no explosives, but like Kareem Hunt could kind of move the chains, like especially him. He was a very efficient runner, and especially in power situations, they were always able to get the yardage. You combine that infrastructure with Creed and Smith and Simmons, and you know, with someone with Walker, like yeah, that's all of a sudden maybe a top 5 rush attack by EPA. If they're 8 right now, maybe that's top 4 or 3.
Yeah. I would argue that like the EPA numbers might have looked fine, but this was not like a good rushing.
No, it wasn't good because it broke off 0 explosive plays. It was just they could it was well designed, and it could consistently get the yardage that it needed to on like 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Sure.
That's where really I think the EPA gets boosted, or those power situations.
Well, I think Mahomes boosted a lot
and
of
Mahomes
EPA as well. Like you look at the rushing last year for Kansas City, Kareem Hunt 611 yards on 3.7 yards per attempt. Pacheco 462 on 3.9. Mahomes was 422 at 6.6 yards per attempt. He only had 64 carries, but like he was the most efficient and most productive runner really on that team.
But I think when he scrambles, that counts as a drop back because he drops back and then he runs. So I think EPA per play in a running situation might take away a lot of scrambles. And it's not like Mahomes is a huge option threat. I mean, they give him a lot of freedom and call a lot of RPOs, and he makes really good decisions. So he's definitely impacting the run game with maybe the scramble threat is in there on the RBSDM, but the wording of drop back is instead of like passing attempts EPA makes me think that they account for scrambles.
It does. I do wonder how they do RPOs for that. I imagine that
It's a run when they run it and a pass when they pass it.
Okay.
So I think that's the only way to do it. But yeah, I'd be pumped. And running backs, they might not matter, but they might not matter. But you also can hand them the ball 300 times in a season, 200 times in a season. You can't really give a wide receiver that. So they're a whole world, really, when you go a good one.
I mean, they don't. It's not that they don't matter, but it's a luxury, right? If you can go and get a good running back, that means you're probably in a good spot elsewhere. Which you might argue the Chiefs aren't, right? But they do also need a running back. Like the run game was very reliant on Mahomes and kind of inefficient last year. So you'd like to see some boost there. So I like Ken Walker to the Chiefs. I mean, we talked about the Chiefs needing to make a move for a running back at the deadline last year, right? And they didn't do that. So yeah. Theo.
I might go with Devin Lloyd to the Seahawks. I feel like it would be kind of a fuck you move for the rest of the league because they've already got kind of an embarrassment of riches on defense.
Yeah.
But they're letting Shaheed walk. They're letting Ken Walker walk, it seems. They're sixth in cap space with 58.1 million, according to the NFL.com IQ site that I'm looking at. So, like, man, they could make a big splash. And I just feel like Lloyd could fit what they want to do. He's a great zone dropper. He had 5 picks last year, a 99-yard pick six that swung the whole season around. And I think him and Ernest Jones are both Mikes, so there might have to be a little bit of a changing of their roles there. But I'd put those two next to each other instead of Drake Thomas and just see what happens. Drake Thomas stands out as kind of a physical mismatch on that Seahawks defense, just kind of the smallest guy, probably the worst athlete out there. If you could replace him with Lloyd, who's like 6'3", 6'4", vines for arms, like huge distraction in the throwing lanes, and somebody who I think has a more juice, I think, coming downhill than people think too, and is a good run defender. To me, if you want to stave off some regression and add some pop to that kind of second layer of the defense, and you got all this walking around money, like Matt said, I thought that could be kind of a fun fit to just keep the tool shed as sharp as possible. And just, it would be kind of a fuck you to the league. Like one of the best linebackers last year, I think a second team All-Pro, I believe, getting added to an already historic defense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to let all these guys walk, you might as well do something cool with the money that you are, holding on to. I will say Devin Lloyd is going to be very, very, very highly sought after, even in off season where there's like a number of good options at off-ball linebacker. There's just a lot of teams that are really, really weak there. Like I know Carolina has been super connected to them, and I would be pretty hype if they could get somebody like that, because their linebacker play is just
atrocious,
like totally unacceptable. Yeah, it's not the level that you can work with. But yeah,
I would love if he was a Packer too, but I don't think we have the money. For too long, our linebackers have just been magnets. Like you look at a passing chart against the Packers, and all the spots are just at one part of the field, and it's kind of the same thing with the Panthers too, of just like throw it at that guy. Like they're not going to do anything, especially off of play action. Like there's absolutely no chance they can think about the run threat and pick your ball off. Like it just cannot happen. So like, just if you don't know what else to do, just throw it at them.
Yeah. I actually had a different move for a bit of fuck you money usage for Seattle.
Sure. Let's hear it.
Pierce to replace Shaheed. Because that's one thing, like Shaheed was a great return specialist for them, but they kind of struggled to access those vertical passing threats down the sideline with him. They hit it one time in the playoffs, and that was huge, but like for most of the season, that was a big struggle for them. And I think Pierce could fill that void and actually allow
him
them
and
to access.
JSN, that would be a lot of deep threat, man.
Yeah.
I could see. I could see
Yeah, I
the
love
vision
that.
on that.
So, yeah, I think that could access an area of offense that they kind of struggled with last year, even though
Another
Shaheed
guy that
was
you
a
really
good
trust to go win like against press on the outside.
Yes.
Truly is what it would be. That could be a difference maker.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's probably what it was, is that Shaheed just isn't like as good at the line of scrimmage as someone like Pierce is, and so it's kind of hard to get the timing down. Or like someone like JSN, obviously. But yeah, I think their passing offense could take like a pretty massive leap from one that was already pretty good last year.
Yeah, and I think Shaheed is somebody who is a little bit overrated as a deep threat always. Like, he had a bunch of big plays, and all his average touchdown was like 30 yards. But I didn't think that his first couple steps were really as explosive as the real premier deep threats across the league. Like, his release versus press wasn't like JMO's, and it's not like Pierce's. It's just he's got the build up speed. He can win eventually over the top, and has a couple splash plays over the course of his career. But I mean, he's never had 1,000 yards, right? Like Pierce just did. He's never been quite that 1A type of deep threat. I mean, when he was traded, I talked a little bit about this. Like, man, a 4th round pick for 8 games of a very inefficient receiver. Honestly, if you consider his play type, I mean, Alec Pierce is the most efficient receiver in the league. Like, you look at the DVOA and the per target basis and things like that. Like, he blows everybody else out of the way because his average target is 50 yards downfield. Deshaun Jackson and Jordy Nelson, they were always like the most efficient wide receivers in the league because they were such good deep threats. Pierce is on that level. Shaheed was very, very like neutral in all the statistics, which was just kind of wild considering when he does make a big play, it is the most efficient play maybe in all of sports, is the bomb. So yeah, if they went from Shaheed to Pierce,
a lot of his most efficient stuff came on, or like his most valuable was his specialty.
Sure. I mean, obviously he ended up being worth it. Caught a couple of digs, caught that big bomb versus LA, the kick return. So like, no one, you won the Super Bowl. No one's questioning any of the moves you made.
And he was like very important.
He was important, but there wasn't
Bowl,
consistency there, and Pierce could bring some consistency. I really like that, but I've already penciled Pierce in for the Patriots. The other Super Bowl team.
Yeah,
he's ended on a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots need a. This is true. I mean the Patriots need a receiver. I mean I know they. Like Booty ended up being a better receiver than I think a lot of people projected coming into this year. He's got like strong tracking down the field, and that ended up being a nice plus for them to actually unlock some vertical passing game that we were questioning if that was going to be present or not. But yeah, they just lack a lot of like true vertical separation and like ability to win like within your route. And I mean, they're releasing digs, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even with Booty, you're still like you need someone else. You need at least one other guy in that room. Pierce could be that guy, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it.
So, Matt, who's your next dream scenario?
I could see Trey Hendrickson to the Cowboys. That's one that I sort of had on my list. The thing with Dallas, and apparently like they were in the mix for the Crosby trade, but the truth is like you can't go trade 2 first-round draft picks for an edge like that after you trade Parsons. Like you just can't do it. But they desperately need a pass rusher, right? Okay, fine. Maybe you have addressed like the run defense in some ways, but you've really crushed your pass rush and you have to get somebody back. Now, the thing with Hendrickson is still really good, right? But he's older, might get a little bit of a shorter contract because of that. And he might be just a hair cheaper than what his sack production is because of that. But your window's got to be like right now. You've got to be thinking super short term, I feel like. And there's some teams that you can look at and say, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, like Baltimore would have been on that list for me. Maybe Buffalo is on that list before the DJ Moore trade. Now it's like they even have the money for that. But I think with Dallas, they've kind of backed themselves into like a team building logic corner where it's like, well, you just traded away a premier pass rusher for draft assets. Now it would be really tough to spend draft assets to bring somebody back in. You've already draft the guy. Maybe you can continue to draft the guy. You got multiple first round draft picks, but I feel like Jerry Jones might want to just say, let's get somebody who we know is going to change things on that end. Then we're going to roll out with a defensive line that's got multiple big time stars on it. Hopefully that helps the back seven. And if he's willing to spend, I think Hendrickson would go there. I know there's been, rumors that he might want to go to the Buccaneers because he already lives in Florida, or maybe the Colts make sense because Lou Anarumo and whatnot. But it just seems like a Cowboys move to me.
Yeah. And the Colts make sense because, Pay's also a free agent, right? So they're going to need to bring someone else in. But Dallas is interesting. I really didn't even think about them. My first thought was Chicago. But I don't hate Dallas at all.
I just wonder if Chicago is thinking a little bit longer term with Caleb, or if they're fine just going and paying him, because they're also paying Sweat. Washington is also another team that needs an edge rusher badly, but are they going to get even older on defense? They're going to bring in another old guy? I don't know.
Washington is really old. The Hendrickson landing spot is just so tough. Because it does feel like there's so many different options.
Feels like the Bengals need him. That's what makes it tough.
But here's the thing, right? If you're the Bengals, you're like, we were dead last in pass rush win rate last year.
Bengals are fucked, dude. I'd be valid crash out from Jamar Chase on stream when he found out Maxx Crosby got traded.
I didn't even see this.
Yeah, he was pissed. And I was like, that's got to be a worst feeling ever. I was scared the Bears would get Maxx Crosby and, have a toothy pass rush finally.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being on the Bengals and having these fears.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, right.
And you got to go against Miles Garrett, TJ Watt,
and you're
Maxx
losing Hendrickson at the same time, and you completely botched the situation where you basically lost him for nothing, even though he gave you really nothing last year either. Just worst case scenario. That's got to be a bad feeling.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, they need pass rush also. But yeah, Matt, I don't hate the Dallas shout though. My vision for them continues to be replacing Parsons in the aggregate. With drafting guys, right? They already have Ezeraku, and bringing in maybe a really fast guy in this upcoming draft would be kind of the last piece of the puzzle. But maybe they do just need to bring in a more solidified edge rusher.
It's clear that they want to do that, and even in the aggregate, you're not Hendrickson is a piece of that aggregate, I think, because he's not Micah Parsons. So.
Yeah.
I think they need maybe a secondary piece more, but like you said, Matt, they were constantly connected to Maxx Crosby. So I seems like this is the kind of shit they're wanting to do. I already traded for Q. They want to do it in the aggregate, but they don't want to do it with a bunch of rookies. They want to do it with a bunch of other studs, I guess. They're like, yeah, we'll get rid of Parsons and pay for, a different entire badass front four.
Right. Yeah. So I don't hate that at all. Theo, who's your next shout?
I might go with Leo Chenal to the Bears. He's kind of an interesting guy because he's a Sam linebacker who replaces your nickel. And that's not really what's in vogue right now. What's in vogue right now is fitting the run from a too high shell nickel anyway, and getting a guy like Eamon Warrior Hamilton or somebody like that who can play the run and be a pseudo linebacker with coverage skills. But Chenal is kind of the complete opposite of that, where he's just look, if they're heavy, you're heavy, and you put Chenal out there and he's a fantastic run defender. I feel like there's a place for the Chenals of the world in the NFC North. LaFleur loves to run the football. Dan Campbell and the Lions, they love to run the football. They love to have 12 personnel out there. The Bears themselves, a lot of 12 personnel. The Vikings, they have Josh Oliver, a blocking tight end, combined with TJ Hawkinson, who just he just restructured. It's the most run heavy out of 12 division in the NFL is the NFC North. And I think Leo Chenal is a guy who needs to be in like kind of the exact right situation because he's kind of this unique piece. And I just think the NFC North might be the place for him and a place where he can do a lot of damage. And I just think about, man, how can the Bears even begin this defensive rebuild? There's so much wrong with them. And I think someone like Chenal might just be a good place to start. Like he's got speed, he's got strength, he's got some coverage ability, he's got some pass rush ability. Like I've always been a big Leo Chenal fan, and I think it would fit in well with the state of the teams that they need to beat. So I know they got Kyler Gordon, who's a good nickel, but man, they really couldn't cover anybody last year. Like, if he's one of your best guys, could you put him at safety? Could you put him outside? Could you do something like that? And just get your best 11 on the player, your best 11 out there in a way that includes both of them. I don't know. But I guess just Leo Chenal in the NFC North makes sense. I think him in that division with all the, like, even the Bears, if the Packers were to sign him or the Lions or something like that, like, yeah, the Bears will have Kmet and Colston Loveland out there, and they love to run the ball too. So Leo Chenal, NFC North ass player. That's Wisconsin Badger. Get him, bring him home to the Midwest.
I keep thinking about, obviously the Browns are losing so much of their offensive line this year. I've been thinking about what Joel Bitonio might do because there's talks of him potentially retiring, but I imagine he would stay for the right situation, right? If he got to play with a team that he's thought had some legit hope, some legit future, some opportunity, maybe to block for a good quarterback. To me, that kind of feels like the Chargers is like he could be their like transition guard a little bit while they find someone more long-term. But that's kind of, yeah, I think I do like that. I think I like Chargers. They need some interior offensive line help. And Joe Bitonio, if he is going to end up staying, I think that could be a good fit for them. Obviously, they had a lot of problems with injuries last year, but Bitonio is still a good player at like 34 years old. So if he ends up sticking around, I would be pretty excited for the Chargers to bring him in. That would be probably a dream landing spot there. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Guard center guard is still such a disaster for them. Godish helps it out a little bit, but they're going to lose Zion Johnson.
Should they be a Linderbaum? Should they be a Linderbaum destination?
Probably not because of the Biotish move. You'd think that might take him out of it. But, I mean, they're losing Zion Johnson. It sounds like he's going to get a bag, and I do think he was their best offensive lineman last year. So I mocked him, I think, Pregnon. But even still, there's still one more guard spot left that you need. So, definitely one more signing on the interior makes a lot of sense for them.
And I mean, a vet like Bitonio, I mean, he's been around so long. He's been so good for so long. He was the one good Browns offensive lineman last year. Even though I think he is taking a step back. Like, he is not the level of what he was even 2 years ago. But I think that would be a pretty big plus for the Chargers there. So
I agree.
Yeah. Theo, before we move on, I would love to hear about our good friends over at Square.
Oh, you would you? I understand why, because this episode today wouldn't be possible without Square. It's brought to you by them. And they've got big news. During Square's biannual releases event, they launched a wave of innovative new tools to help local businesses run faster, smarter, and more profitably. From AI that answers your toughest business questions to tech that simplifies food orders and tracks every dollar, it's all live and it's built for businesses like yours. Whether you are starting fresh or scaling fast, Square helps you keep up and get ahead. And right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/stayhot. That's SQUARE.com/go/stay-hot. Visit Square to get started because the right tools, they make all of the difference. At a new deli that's right next to Rooster Cat in Denver, actually. Seriously. And I was checking out at the counter. I ordered a delicious Reuben, and right there at the counter was Square hardware. That's what I scanned my phone on, the Apple Pay. It was all from Square. I know they just opened up Jordan's Deli, and yeah, they're using Square to get started, and you can too if you run a small business. So yeah, Square has launched its most powerful tools yet. They give local businesses a competitive edge without the complexity. If you're ready to sell smarter, run faster, and stress less right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/stay-hot. That's SQUARE.com/go/stay-hot. One word, run your business smarter through Square. Get started today.
And talking about running your business smarter, you need energy for that. And look, I'm all about energy. I've got a busy schedule between work, recording the podcast, band stuff, and everything else going on, you know? But the funny thing is, as many people know on this podcast, I don't drink caffeine. But you know who does drink caffeine in my house? My girlfriend. And she's been the one using Spark Energy and Focus, a new sponsor here at Stay Hot, and really, really liking it. You know, she'll mix it up in the morning, either before a workout or before going to work, and it gives her, you know, steady energy without feeling jittery or crashing later. Spark has 120 milligrams of caffeine for alertness and focus, and it's balanced with amino acids and taurine, so it's a lot smoother than a lot of typical energy drinks. It also has zero sugar, and it includes things like B vitamins, L-carnitine, and choline to help support energy, metabolism, and mental focus. So it's not just about caffeine. It's built to support energy and clarity throughout the day. She's also a big fan of the flavors. They're bold and actually taste pretty good, is what I've heard, which makes it easy to work into the daily routine. And right now, you can get Spark Energy and Focus with Stay Hot because they're offering 30% off and free shipping. You can go to drinkspark.com and use the code STAYHOT, all one word, at checkout. Again, that's code STAYHOT at drinkspark.com. Theo, do you have anyone else you want to talk about?
Yeah, let me get I'm ordering off the menu. Tariq Woolen to the Broncos. Wouldn't that be fun? Opposite Surtain, you got Tariq Woolen. That would be so money. Woolen gets a bad rap, dude.
He does. I think Woolen's a pretty good player, and if I'm Seattle, I would probably want to bring him back. Here's the thing: if you send him to Denver, I feel like he's going to get targeted a lot because you don't really want to throw at Surtain.
No, you do not. But Woolen is someone who is a matchup nightmare. Like when Trent McDuffie got traded, I broke out the stat that when quarterbacks target wide receivers being guarded by corners, the Rams were 27th, right? The Chiefs were 5th, all that good stuff. The Seahawks were first. So Woolen, over the course of his career, has been behind a lot of kind of insane stats. I remember as a rookie, he was right up there with Sauce Gardner in terms of like stickiness in coverage. When you look at tight coverage, time spent in it, havoc rate, batting throws, intercepting things, forcing fumbles, he was really high. Just an all-time rookie season, he could have been a defensive rookie of the year that year. And right. People think of him as this Linsanity run, this like 1 year runner who's fallen off since then, who's mistake prone, right? All these big blunders. But in reality, I mean, he's continued to lock down his side of the field. I mean, even before his famous taunting penalty on the sideline, like that was insane coverage on Nacua, like right in his hip pocket on the crosser. Ball got held for a long time. He still stayed in phase and got long at the catch point, knocked the ball away. Just needed to lock in a little bit there, and then was emotional. Then he gets picked on, right? Those are the things that people remember, but they just don't remember games or stretches of games go by where Woolen just doesn't really get targeted. And man, the Broncos are already a defense where they're top 3 in the league 2 years in a row. That's pretty damn special. They got a depoy. They got more sacks than anybody else last year. If they could plug that second corner spot with somebody who could potentially be an all-pro, like talent level of an all-pro at points in his career, and shutting down field and having statistics like a low end, maybe second team all-pro, part of a defense that was historic and won the Super Bowl. I feel like that would be a piece that I know they have tons of corners already, right? They have Jahdae Barron, they have McMillan, they have Riley Moss, who's kind of up and down for sure. And Barron was a first round pick who can't see the field. So like, what are we doing to get in another corner? But those are slot battles. McMillan and Barron are that nickel back. Maybe you could trade Barron or something like that. This is a Riley Moss replacement. Okay. And it's just that simple. He's a decent corner too, I think, but Woolen's a completely different level. And yeah, maybe that could be a good spot. Maybe that could be a spot where Woolen actually impacts something, making it an all-time type of thing, because I think he could be an answer anywhere. Like it's not a lot of teams out there that have 2 good outside corners. So Woolen would fit, I think, in man, in zone, all kinds of different schemes. But yeah, I think he could probably win in terms of delivering a Super Bowl to a team or being the final piece of the puzzle. Corner outside of Surtain feels like a pretty sick landing spot. And they got $25.2 million this year. They're 14th. They're off the Russell Wilson dead cap now. That they have almost no dead cap anymore. So yeah, go make a big splash signing Denver. This would be a fun one.
Yeah, I do feel like if I'm Woolen, I wanna try and get a big payday. I don't know how much he can get, but that would be kind of my focus, is just like maximizing money, because you already have the ring. Like, so you might be willing to be a part of a rebuilding team a little bit if they could offer you
L'Jarius Sneed type of situation.
I'm just saying, it's like a lot of guys they're willing to take a pay cut to get a ring. I think Woolen, I mean, he was like a 5th round pick. He's making some of the least money for like a high caliber corner in the league. So I would want to really get my bag up if I'm Tariq Woolen. And so maybe Tennessee could be which would be really L'Jarius Sneed.
I wonder what the highest paid corner duo is. Like Surtain's making 24 in Denver, which is obviously a lot.
Sure.
But no one else, Barron's making 4.5 because he's on a first round rookie contract, and that's not nothing. Mm-hmm. But Moss is 1.4, Abrams James 1.1, McMillan.
Cleveland's probably pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's true. But would they pay kind of 2 high end CB1s? I don't know.
I mean, that's what like Cleveland's kind of doing that right now with Denzel and I'm blanking on who they
Emerson or Newsome.
No, not they traded Newsome for Tyson Campbell. Yeah.
Who's making $5 million.
Oh yeah, so it's not expensive.
McMillan's a free agent too, so you could go Barron, Surtain, Woolen, dude. That would be sick. That would be maybe one of the great 1-2-3s ever if Barron could hit at a nickel, which I think he could still. So that'll be the last one I say. That one would get me fired up. But Eagles probably should look at that. A lot of teams should probably.
The Colts are the highest spending team at corner. They're spending $52 million for Javarius Ward, Kenny Moore, and Sauce.
There you go. Yeah.
And then I imagine Sauce will get more expensive as his contract goes on, of course. But yeah, Ward's cap hit is $20 million. Kenny's is 13 and Sauce's is 9. Chicago's is pretty expensive too, with Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon. And they have Tariq Stevenson in there as well. And then Denzel and Campbell. So, I mean, the Browns are 3rd. So I was pretty close.
Yeah.
And then when Gonzo gets paid, the Patriots will be up there with Carlton Davis as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Marcus Jones just got an extension too, so they could be really knocking on the door, which is what makes Gonzalez maybe a trade candidate, but probably not.
Whoa. No, you cannot. That was the one thing keeping him in that Super Bowl, man.
Yeah.
was Gonzo locking up the Emerald City Route artist? What are we?
Yeah.
I don't think you could trade. I don't think you could trade Gonzo.
You could. I mean, you could.
I mean, you could. Yes, in theory, you could, but
It would be the same as the McDuffie trade, basically. Maybe a little bit more severe, but like you can always trade somebody.
I mean, you always can, but like, no.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. They shouldn't trade him.
Yeah.
They should just extend him and be a highly paid cornerback room that rocks. So
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, just be a good cornerback room. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
But if that's all the guys we have, then I think we can get out of here. Give the people some time back on this. Well, it'll be their wonderful Monday morning, but it'll be our Sunday night here. So shout out. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Stay Hot. Of course, we've got stuff coming out on the Patreon. Theo finished up his top 10 defenses of all time, rounding out the top 20 there. So that'll be coming out very, very soon. And then, of course, there's NBA stuff. There's non-sports stuff there as well. I know Matt and Theo did an advice episode that people really enjoyed. I've done a couple of Minecraft streams on there as well. So if you're interested in some auxiliary Stay Hot content, you can find it on the Stay Hot Patreon page. But until then, and until next time, as always, from your favorite fellas here, talking about ball, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.